Hey folks, welcome back for another daily finance tip. My name's John of John's Finance Tips. Now, I've been in the credit card space for close to 10 years now. I've had over 40 of these and have accumulated over 4 million miles and points. In that period, I've seen new cards launch, I've seen cards get revamped, I've seen all-time high sign-up bonus, I've pretty much seen it all. And it's so awesome to be able to go back to basics today with you all and talk about one of the first viral credit cards ever launched and one of my favorite credit cards and the one that really got me into the game, the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It's coming in now with a near all-time high sign-up bonus of 80,000 points. And I've had this card for close to 6 years now, so I'm gonna give you my honest review of the card after having had it for 6 years. Of course, full disclaimer, like any relationship, we've had our ups as well as our downs, and I actually broke up with the Chase Sapphire Reserve one time during our 6-year period, and it was so that I can get the sign-up bonus again. All right, folks, so if you've been on one of my review videos, you know, the scale that we're gonna use is my big old head, JFTs, on a scale of 1 to 5. And the video is gonna be broken down as so. First, we're gonna talk about sign-up bonus, then we're gonna talk about earnings, then we'll talk about benefits, annual fee, and finally, my verdict and recommendations, whether you should or shouldn't get this card and some of the alternatives you might want to consider. Cool? Well, the only thing that I'm gonna ask from you is if you wouldn't mind just find that little thumb icon right there, boop, give it a little tap. And if you're interested in any of the cards we talk about, feel free to check them out, link down below. First up, we have the sign-up bonus, which is gonna be 80,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months. A quick note, if you have had over 5 credit cards open in the past 24 months, can't get the card. In addition, if you have had a Chase Sapphire product, meaning a Sapphire Preferred or a Sapphire Reserve bonus in the last 48 months, you can't get this bonus. Those are just some housekeeping rules for Chase. We can talk about that another time, but keep that in mind. Now, these 80,000 points could potentially be worth up to $1,200 if you redeem them through the Chase Ultimate Reward portal. Now, in my instance, I have about 1.4 million Chase points, so that's equivalent to roughly about 2.1 million points or about $21,000 worth of value if I redeem through the Chase Ultimate Reward portal. However, I would argue we can actually do better than that. So instead of taking those 80,000 points and redeem them through the Chase Ultimate Reward portal and getting $1,200 worth of value, one potential option is you can take those 80,000 points and transfer them to one of Chase's travel partners. 2 examples. One's a hotel, the Hyatt Zilara all-inclusive resort in Cancun. I stayed there this past summer. It was phenomenal. What I would actually do, transfer my Chase points to Hyatt, take those Hyatt points, redeem for free nights. Right now, as you can see, it costs about $440 or so per night at the Hyatt Zilara. So 4 nights would cost you a little bit over $1,700. Instead, you can actually use Chase points, transfer them to Hyatt, 21,000 Hyatt points, so about 84,000 Hyatt points for 4 nights, boom. Second option you have is flight partners. You could also take your Chase points, transfer them to say British Airways, get Avios, and book for a Qatar Q Suites flight, Boston to Doha for about 70,000 points or so, instead of having to spend $15,000. So there's a ton of ways you can slice and dice and get value out of these Chase points. Those are just 2 quick examples. As far as verdict for me, I would say this gets a 4.5 out of 5 JFTs, largely because A, I value the points, but also it's a near all-time high sign-up bonus. Obviously, I've got to reserve the 5 out of 5 for the 100,000 points. So 4.5 out of 5 JFTs. Next up, we have earnings. So you will earn 10 Chase points for every dollar that you spend booking hotels as well as car rentals through the Chase travel portal. You will also earn 10 points for every dollar that you spend through Chase Dining. This is actually an interesting one because Chase Dining seems to use the platform Talk, which is kind of the reservation system that I found for a lot of like high-end fine dining restaurants, Michelin starred. This is unique because I was out about a couple months back with some of my friends in Chicago, and we actually booked at a Michelin-starred restaurant called Smith, which was phenomenal, but I didn't realize that I could have booked it through Chase Dining and gotten 10% off the bill, and it was like, I don't know, 280 or 300 bucks per person. But this is a really interesting one. I don't think it's strictly for fine dining, but it seems to be as if a lot of the restaurants on there are fine dining. So definitely check that one out if that's something you do frequently. You'll also earn 5 points for every dollar you spend booking flights through the Chase travel portal, and you will earn 3 points for every dollar that you spend on general travel, dining, and 1 point everywhere else. And as for verdict, for earnings, I would say the Chase Sapphire Reserve comes in at 4.5 out of 5 JFTs. Reason being, I feel like you can do a little bit better just with one more category other than dining and travel. And I know it's a travel card, but just one more category, slight ding at 4.5 out of 5 JFTs. Next up, we have benefits. The Chase Sapphire Reserve comes with one of the easiest travel credits in the entire credit card industry. It is a $300 travel credit and you don't have to jump through hoops to do it. All you need to do is spend money on the Chase Sapphire Reserve in a category that is considered travel. They will recognize it and just credit you back. It is so easy to use. It honestly, I wish every credit was like this on every card. It's not. So American Express, Capital One, Citi, Bank of America, anyone who's out there watching, well, first of all, let me know if you guys want to sponsor a video. But other than that, can you just up it a little bit on the credit usage? Anyway, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, easiest $300 travel credit, bar none. Just keep that one in mind. Next, you will also get a 50% bonus when you redeem your Chase Ultimate Reward points through the Chase Ultimate Travel Portal. The other thing that you actually have right now is up until the end of the year, you can actually get a statement credit using your points with that 50% bonus. So if we go back and kind of look at my example, I have about 1.4 million Chase Ultimate Reward points. That's equivalent to about 2.1 million or about $21,000 worth of travel or potentially statement credits. That's pretty wild actually. But for me, I would much rather take those points and maybe instead of getting just $21,000 of value, I could probably flip that easily for over maybe even $200,000 worth of premium flights. You also get primary car rental insurance. So you know how when you go and rent a car, they always try to upsell you no matter what, right? It's always, oh, you want to add this, you want to add that. And one of the things they always push on is car rental insurance. Well, a lot of cards tend to have car rental insurance. However, it's not primary, meaning it's secondary, meaning you need insurance. And then once the insurance kind of is maxed out, then that card's car rental insurance kicks in. Looking at you, American Express. However, with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, it is primary car rental insurance, so you can actually decline what they're trying to offer you at the car rental dealership. The only thing that I would say as a pro tip, when you are picking up a car rental, don't let them push you on the car rental insurance in the sense that telling you that it doesn't qualify because it comes from a credit card. Some credit cards, yes, because it's secondary. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is primary. You can just use it. You can decline what they try to sell you. And if you're interested as an employee for various discount codes, I'll leave them down below for car rental discount codes. Next up, we have Priority Pass. Priority Pass is basically a collection of airport lounges that you can go and, get free food, free drink, charging, Wi-Fi. Some of them in Southeast Asia even have day beds, even have shower facilities. There's some that even have massages available. Priority Pass is pretty insane. Once I got my Priority Pass, it just honestly changed the way in which I travel. No longer it was this, oh, I gotta get to the airport early. Where am I gonna buy a crappy sandwich? Okay, no, it was like, oh, I'm just gonna show up, go to the lounge, hang out, and then get on my flight. It's a much easier experience. However, in addition to lounges, Priority Pass also has a network of restaurants. And all you need to do is show a Priority Pass card, you swipe it, and you get roughly about a $28 US credit at that restaurant. But the catch is not every single Priority Pass from every single credit card issuer gives you the restaurant credit, but the Chase Sapphire Reserve does. So when I'm flying out of Boston, especially out of Terminal B, I usually hit up Stephanie's for free food, but that's one thing you want to keep in mind. There's honestly, I think somewhere out on the West Coast, there's like a brewery in an airport you can use it at. I mean, there's some pretty cool places you can use the dining credit that's associated to the Priority Pass, so be sure to keep that in mind. You also have a $100 global entry credit. So for those of you who don't know, global entry is basically you come back into the United States, instead of waiting in a long line for customs, yada yada, you basically just at this point take a photo and you just zip on through. I mean, I've timed myself. I think it's literally taking me like 5 minutes nonstop walking from getting off the plane on an international trip to out of the airport. I just walk the whole way. The issue with global entry is the fact that if you are new, it takes a long time to actually get an interview. However, pro tip here, you can actually do a global entry interview upon arrival. So you just show up at the airport as you're getting back from a trip and you just do your interview right then and there, as opposed to getting the credit, applying for everything, and then just waiting for them to give you an interview slot, which can take a couple of months. In addition, global entry comes with TSA pre-check. Once you have TSA pre-check, it just makes that airport experience so much easier. You just breeze on through, keep the pants on. Sorry, you should always keep your pants pants on. Keep the belt on, keep the shoes on, keep the laptop in the bag. So highly recommend using a global entry credit so you get global entry as well as TSA PreCheck. Next, we have trip delay coverage. So if your trip is delayed for 6 hours, you can get up to $500 reimbursed, probably for necessities like lodging or food. You also have lost luggage coverage. So for up to $3,000 for either a carry-on or checked bag. And you have return protection, $500 per item, up to $1,000 a year, as long as it's within 90 days of purchase. So you buy something, you want to return it, and the merchant says, no, you can't return it. Well, you can file a claim through your Chase Sapphire Reserve, likely through Visa, and it can cover up to $500 for an item that you otherwise wanted to return. And some of the more fringe benefits that have been recently added are earning 10 points for every single dollar that you spend on Lyft until 2025. And you also get Dash Pass complimentary for, I believe, until 2024. For me, if I look at all of these benefits, I've actually tapped into a ton of them. I would say the ones I've tapped into the most are definitely gonna be the travel credit, easiest one to use in the country. The Priority Pass Lounge Network, that gets me food access, which I think is honestly so much better than some of the lounges, because sometimes lounges, it's like cold cuts or like random salads, as opposed to actually food from a restaurant. And then when I've rented cars, as long as I use the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I decline any of the insurance that they try to sell me. As I look at the entire spectrum of all the benefits that the Chase Sapphire Reserve provides, I would say though, I give this a 4 out of 5. The reason it gets dinged for 1 point is that I feel as if they could find a credit from somewhere else. I mean, as I look at all of the other premium cards in the space, namely the American Express Platinum and the Capital One Venture X, they have more than just one single travel credit. Now, Amex is a bit of a coupon book, and the Venture X is just a crazy good card right now, so it's a little bit difficult, I think, apples to apples, but for the most part, after 6 years, I feel as if Chase could come up with something to sweeten the deal just a little bit. But nevertheless, these benefits are absolutely phenomenal, and honestly, my favorite has definitely been the Priority Pass and the $300 travel credit. Next up, we have annual fee. This card comes with a face value annual fee of $550. Whew. That's kind of steep. Now, you do get an offset, the $300 travel credit, so it knocks it down to $250. And if you never had global entry, that's another $100 credit, so you can knock it down to $150, but that would really be only for 1 year. So year over year, you're paying $250. I would say, depending on where you are in your travel journey, in your credit card journey, and how you want to optimize, it's a little steep. I'll be honest, I think the benefits are certainly there, but $250 face value is just a little bit steep for me. And so for that, I'm gonna have to give it, unfortunately, a 3 out of 5 JFTs. So if we take everything, add it all up, this card gets 16 out of 20 JFTs, which is still very solid. I mean, this card is a perennial favorite among folks because it is just a pretty good all-around card, right? There's nothing that you would look at this card and be like, really ding it, but it's aging. The age of the card is definitely showing, and so there's nothing that I am just so drawn to. Now, for me, why do I have the card? Because I have 1.4 million Chase Ultimate Reward points. If I close the card, I lose potentially 700,000 points of value if I were redeeming through the Ultimate Reward Portal or statement credits. In addition, I definitely highly value the transfer partner, namely Hyatt being probably one of the best hotel programs still out on the marketplace. So in terms of what you should do, if you are brand new into the travel game, you might have had like 1 card, 2 card, and now you're thinking, hey, this card's coming in with an 80,000 point sign-up bonus. Should I jump on it? There's maybe a couple more things you want to ask yourself. 1, do you want to be in the Chase ecosystem? Meaning, are you potentially at some point considering getting a Chase Freedom or a Chase Ink card? If so, then I would absolutely jump on this card because the 80,000 point sign-up bonus is, again, I think the highest we're ever going to see for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It's the highest that we've seen for Chase Sapphire product for a very long time. The Chase Sapphire Preferred, the little brother to this card, had an 80,000 point sign-up bonus earlier in the year. So I would definitely jump on it if you think you're going to be in the Chase ecosystem, because once you're in the Chase ecosystem, you have a Freedom, you have an Ink, all of those points can actually be pooled together, and then you can put them onto the Chase Sapphire Reserve and get a 50% bonus on all of those points. And that's largely part of the reason why I still have this card, because I do have an Ink for my business, which I use pretty frequently, and I take those points, convert them over, move them onto the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So that's one, if you want to be in the ecosystem. The second thing though is maybe you're thinking, well, you know, I've got, I don't know, a Quicksilver or a Discover or whatever it is, and I just want a travel card, John. Like, would this one be it for me? And I would say Probably not, only because if you want a premium travel card that gives you outrageous value, I would look at the Capital One Venture X. It's a premium travel card in the exact same category as the Chase Sapphire Reserve. However, the Venture X ends up paying you, literally puts $5 back in your pocket, and it also gives you the lounge access, which again, that's typically what draws people to these top tier premium travel cards. And if you're thinking, you know, maybe you don't want quite the bells and whistles of a travel card that's gonna give you lounge access, like should I still be looking at this card? And I would say no, actually downgrade, look for a mid-tiered card. And the two options you have are the little brother to this card, the Sapphire Preferred. At 60,000 points though, I still wouldn't recommend it because remember, you can get one Sapphire bonus every 48 months. I wouldn't burn a slot because you're losing out on 20,000 potential Sapphire points. Instead, maybe consider getting an American Express Gold, because that card's a good mid-tier type of travel card. You're earning 4x on grocery, 4x on dining, effective $10 annual fee. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful. As always, folks, link down below for any of the cards and let me know if you have any questions, concerns, comments, all the works. I appreciate you all for sticking around for such a great video. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace!